If I had to summarize my career in, say, two songs, maybe one song, it would be from Simple Minds, Don't You Forget Me When I'm Gone, would probably be that. Well, I mean, it's a journey, and it always has been. It's had its ups and it's had its downs. And I mean, a lot of people always ask me, have you always been a DJ? And I go, well, actually, no, I was a kid first. But I think I always knew that I was going to get into this industry somehow. And it pains me to say this, but I made a huge mistake as a kid. My father used to be a music collector of note. And, when you're on holiday, you kind of get bored. And so without me knowing it, I kind of took his cassette of some of his music and I just pressed record. And I started doing football commentary and DJ announcing, and only to be smacked on my backside when he held a dinner party expecting to play the Diodato that to his friends that were attending the dinner party, only to be the first bar of the music, and then for it to be me screaming football commentary. So I think essentially somewhere in there, I knew that I was going to be in entertainment. And so I got into the nightclub world, and that took me all around the country. And my first taste of radio really came in the States, in San Francisco. And it was a music show because I was clubbing, but I was only waiting for another gig to come up in New York. I left New York and ended up in South Africa, bit of clubbing, and I realized that I was going to be getting on in years, and I didn't want to be the granddaddy of discos. So I thought, well, what next? I mean, I could probably pull off at the age of 40 being a DJ in Europe. But I went, I've got to do something. And I was listening to Capital Radio in the early days, and I went, I like what I'm hearing here. It kind of spoke to me. And I thought, that's what I want to do. So I decided to send them about 9 to 11 demo tapes and didn't get an answer back at all until one day they had a promo at the club I was working at, Raffles in Durban, and there was Kevin Savage standing in the corner. So I went up there and I said, Kev, listen, what's the story here? I've sent you guys like 11 demo tapes, no answer. And he says to me, Steve, the only way that you might even get a foot in the door is you have to be where the radio station is. And I said, well, here in Durban. He says, no, we're based in Joburg. So I said, if I come to Joburg, will you train me? Will you mentor me? And he said yes, knowing I probably wouldn't give up this incredible gig that I was at. And so the next morning, went up to the general manager, a guy called George Lehman, and I said, look, George, I've got some bad news. I'm leaving. And they offered me double the money to stay, but I just went, I've got to do this. So I packed up everything, went to Joburg, walked into Capital Radio Studios in Mill Park Galleries, and I said, Kevin Savage, please. And he came out and looked at me and went, I don't know what he was thinking. He went, oh no, he's actually done this. But anyway, subsequently, he started training me. And he made me hate Carly Simon coming around because he made me do intros and extras to that till the cows came home. And I didn't realize at the time that he was teaching me a valuable lesson. And so it goes that I learned valuable lessons through that whole transition of learning how to become a DJ. And the fact is I had to forget what I thought I knew about radio, which is the case, because the only similarity between a club DJ and a radio DJ is the fact that we used to handle a record, a 45 or just some plastic. That was where it started. That's where it started to sink in for me. And I had a successful time at Capital Radio, worked with some crazy characters, and I didn't really have a style of what I wanted to become, but there were some instrumental people in the industry, not only in Europe, I mean the likes of Tony Blackburn and Steve Wright in the afternoon, who were legends, but here in South Africa, there was a guy called Dave Simons, Kevin Savage, of course, some big names in radio. And I liked what Dave was doing, and I thought, I want to kind of be like that, but I wanted to be me. I didn't want to emulate anybody else or sound like anybody else. So that was a journey in itself, 11 years with them, until sadly they were closed down by the government. And then it was off to the Eastern Cape, a stint on Breakfast Show for another radio station, and then did a 4-year contract there. And then that ended. And then I came back to Joburg, and I approached some radio stations that are well known in this town. but was played this certain card that we can't hire you because of whatever. Anyway, so I got a gig with a company called SA Stream. And what we delivered was the first internet-based radio station in South Africa. Eventually, 94.7 would then kind of be the one on the commercial platform. But it was a chance to get back behind the microphone. It was a chance to talk to listeners abroad. And it was a website in the UK called footsec.uk, I think it was. And we were talking to South African expats around the globe. And that lasted about a year and a bit, because essentially it got closed down because back then nobody knew how you could make money out of internet. Now of course, we know now, but back in those days, it was very difficult. And then, I did a lot of voice work for SuperSport, and I was able to survive, and then got a phone call one day from Lloyd. And he said, look, I'm putting this community-based radio station together, 91.9 Hot. And he said, what are you doing? I said, nothing right now. So we went back into that. So I did a stint there, but it was difficult too, because you're competing with everybody else, and you're not expected to make money being a community radio station. But Lloyd had an incredible vision. I kind of had to move on and find something else, because we have to live, and loyalty and whatever you believe in, it doesn't always put bread on the table, so to speak. And then I hopped around to various other different radio stations, and still cut my teeth, did a few shows, kept my hand in the game, which was great. And then, one day, sadly, heard about Kevin's passing, which was devastating for me. And I got a phone call from Hot saying, listen, would you like to come back and do some stuff? And I said, you know what, I think I'm ready. So, yeah, I did that. And I've been here since, and it's been a remarkable journey for this radio station. We have captured the imagination of our listeners and really put out a world-class product, something that I believe in, and something that is polished and professional. And we're working with like-minded people. A lot of people think that just, you sit behind a microphone and it's easy. It ain't that at all. You've got to put the hard yards in. There's a lot of time, a lot of prep. And you've got to engage with the listener. I'd like to think that in my career, I've probably spoken to over 1 million listeners, been part of their journey, part of their life, making a difference in their life. And that's all I've ever wanted from it. I mean, we always say that you don't get into radio to be rich, and true that. But there's something inside of you. I believe that DJs are born. Yes, you can turn a DJ with technical advice and teach them how to do that. But I think there's always that X factor in a lot of DJs that stand out. And so the most important thing is to be yourself. And I've got many monikers, from Steve Machine Gun Bishop to Stevie B to whatever. And I think it's all generated through my kind of style of broadcasting, which is pace and energy. But I love that interaction with the listener. I think to be part of their lives on a daily basis, it doesn't get better than that. And so that's where we are right now. And now here on Hot 102.7, getting this kind of acknowledgement for my contribution to radio is quite outstanding. On a humor point, I'm going, well, it's just an award for being old. But I think it's a lot more than that. I think it's generational. And you have to reinvent yourself all the time, which is why I'm still in this business. And I wouldn't swap it out. If they said to me, Bish, do you want a do-over? I would have said yes, but I would never have changed what I got into. Maybe finances, being a little more smart with money, but I wouldn't have changed anything. I've had a great life, and broadcasting has given me all of that and much, much more, and will continue to do so. So I'm delighted to be recognized by my peers, to be awarded this, finally in the Hall of Fame. A Hall of Famer. Sounds kind of weird, but yeah, delighted. I think human being and human nature, essentially, we're all the same, and we all grow. I mean, that's a given. Staying relevant is addressing and looking at yourself in the mirror and saying, well, how is life different? And it is. I mean, from decade to decade, it's changing. In this fashion, there's all sorts of things that go with it. I'm a bit of a news body. I'm very curious by nature. And so every morning I have a ritual where I go onto certain platforms. I engage with those platforms to find out what's going on in the world. And that dictates to me what is perceived. Things are changing in various industries, whether it be finance, political, whatever that may be. And music. I mean, music for me, that's a universal language. So staying relevant is just embracing the change in what everybody is doing on the street and what they're living with. And things do change, and you either have to change with them or you're stuck in some sphere where you end up being a dinosaur. And that's never been me. I'm curious by nature. I want to learn new stuff. And technology is there to teach you stuff. I mean, now we have ChatGPT, and we never had that many, many years ago. The one thing that I love about technology is the fact that you're able to grow with it. And it will enhance your life in some way if you embrace it. And I think that's the most important thing. I think that you need to embrace the change. And you can only do that by engaging with your listeners, because they're going through exactly what I'm going through. We're no different. And so you hear the stories and you're able to kind of get a summary of what's really going around you. And if you can kind of tap into that, then that'll make you grow. It'll make you understand the listener, because those trends have changed decade by decade by decade. So I don't think my change in my personality will ever change. I don't think my energy will ever change. So I think that's two great points in my journey, is the fact that what you see is what you get, and I wear my heart on my sleeve. And I'm honest with my listeners, and I like them to know a bit more about me on a daily basis. My advice to someone trying to get into the industry is have a backup plan as well. That's important. But I would advocate, if you've got an interest in it, try and follow it. If it's a dream of yours, absolutely follow it. It's a very difficult segment of business in this country, because we have limited opportunities on radio. There's TV as well, there's radio journalism. But if your heart is set on making a difference and being involved in that world, I would say go for it. And just follow your dream. But the best advice I would give you would be to be absolutely your own person. Don't try and be anybody, aspire to be somebody else, just be yourself. And you've got that dream and you've got that push, I reckon at the end of the day, it'll turn out well for you. I've had really great experiences. Some of those have been interactions with holding Teddy-thons where we're raising money for a particular initiative. Those are always quite close to my heart. Happy moments, engaging in the studio, and things can just, as I said, turn on a dime. We've had old technology which just, while we're busy broadcasting, things burst into flames and we're literally on fire in the studio. And then the guys come running in with these like white fire extinguishers and spraying everything. So it looks like Christmas in the studio as well. Many different moments, and working with a crazy gang of people, all like-minded. On a more sadder note, broadcasting live, I've had to deal with attempted suicides and trying to do a radio show and trying to talk that person out from taking their life. That's happened on 2 occasions. It's kind of somber, but you realize that people are going through a lot of bad stuff, and that is what's out there. And so why radio is so important for me and for the listeners is that you become a friend, you become an earpiece, somebody to lean on, to talk to. And I think that's the beauty of radio. It's about one-on-one engagement. If I had to summarize my career in, say, 2 songs, maybe 1 song, it would be from Simple Minds, Don't You Forget Me When I'm Gone, would probably be that. I'd like to think that I made a difference in people's lives, a broad spectrum, different genres, different formats. And that's why I'm saying that if you're able to kind of reinvent yourself, formats and working for different radio stations helps you embrace that. Change is great. I mean, right now on Hot 1027, it's a different format that I was used to. But when you realize that what we do here as a hit radio station, Hot 1027, you realize that it's the music that is key. So you say to yourself, the music is the hero. But if there was 1 song, I would say Simple Minds, which of course is my favorite band. A lot of our listeners know that as well, but yeah, don't forget me when I'm gone. In terms of support structures, I think the radio station, once you're in it and you've been doing it for years, and you make these incredible friendships. I always said back in the day that I didn't join the radio station to make friends, but I was so wrong. And those friends at the radio station, because you're like-minded in your approach to it as well, those become the family. So I suppose the support structure would be those that are working internally with you on a daily basis, from your head of programs to your music. I mean, everybody from the tea girl all the way up the chain. That is the support structure. And of course, my two border collies, which are for me my life. To come home after either a bad day or a good day, they're still at the gate wagging their tails, and it's unconditional love. So yeah, I would say to a large extent, and of course I love animals, but my border collies are my mainstay, and those are the things that I really love, and the family that I've grown up here at Hotwood. Just quite honoured, to be honest with you, with the induction. It's a chance to be acknowledged by my peers. It's been a long journey. I'm a bit puzzled it took this long to get inducted into the Hall of Fame, but there's no time frame on your career, so it doesn't matter. It's now, and it's in the present, and it's in 2025. I'm okay with that, and I've got like-minded friends and presenters on various radio stations, and that's what I like about where I come from in radio, is that the other people that have also grown in radio along the way, there's no animosity. It's like a friendship. It's like a brotherhood, if that makes any sense to you, where we're not picking on him saying, well, that guy's bad, he doesn't. You kind of grow with it. You've got to understand that we're all so privileged to be in this industry. And if you take that for granted, then you've got no business being into it. So if you're in it for all the right reasons, it's very rewarding, like the Hall of Fame. So yeah, delighted.
Hot 102.7.
Playing Joburg's best old school and R&B.